Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be a pregnancy update. I'm going to be updating you guys on what went on throughout my 35 and 36 weeks of pregnancy. I'm currently nearing the very end of my 37th week, so we're getting very close to hopefully the day where I meet my daughter. So I'm just going to kind of give you guys a brief overview like I always usually do with baby, with myself, anything out of the ordinary that's kind of been going on and such. I did actually record this makeup tutorial just right now, so that's going to be going up after this video. It's actually the look that I wore for my maternity photo shoot. So for those of you that are pregnant and going to be doing a photo shoot and don't want to have to spend the money to do it with someone else, this is a great tutorial to follow. It's neutral. Whether you have a colorful dress, a white dress, this look of course will work for that. So let's just go ahead and get right into the update. It says for the 35 weeks of pregnancy that your baby is about the size of a honeydew melon. So your baby doesn't have much room to maneuver now that he or she is over 18 inches long and tips the scales at 5 1/4 pounds, about the size of a honeydew melon. Because it's so snug in your womb, she is likely to be doing somersaults. She likely isn't going to be doing somersaults anymore, but the number of times he or she kicks should still remain the same. The kidneys are now fully developed, the liver can process some waste products, and most of the physical development is now complete. So it's saying from the 35 weeks and on, basically, that the baby will just be producing the additional weight that they're gaining. Everything's kind of pretty much fully developed, and they would be safe if they happen to be born at that point. So that's what's going on with baby. And then for myself, on how my life's changing, it just says that your uterus, which was entirely tucked away inside your pelvis when you conceived, now reaches right up under your rib cage. So if you could see inside there, you would see that the amniotic fluid is now there. Your ballooning uterus is crowding your other organs as well. So it's getting really snug in your stomach area and all the other organs around it. And it said you could basically experience heartburn or gastrointestinal distress, being that if you look at a diagram of your stomach and other organs, let's say your stomach is normally round like this in the area that it's supposed to be. Once you're pregnant and the baby gets so large like we are now in this later stage of pregnancy, it tends to almost become like a pancake. So it's flat like this. So just imagine that space that was round and spacious to be able to fit your food and such is just basically flattened into kind of like a pancake shape now. So you could understand why you may be having those issues. You guys know I've let you know in my other updates that I experienced heartburn, still experiencing that. Some days are worse than others. I'm not sure if it depends sometimes on the type of food that I ate that day or whatnot, but I just kind of have been taking the Tums. I keep it right next to my bed. And then the last thing that it said for the 35 week, it just kind of let you know that at the 35 week appointment is actually when they do a Strep B test, where it's basically, they take like this long type of Q-tip and they just kind of swab the area down there to just test it to see if you do have that infection. If you do, my doctor told me, it's nothing to worry about. You kind of would just go take some antibiotics. This way, once the baby is born, you won't have that risk of infection when they're coming out of the womb, that they would be able to get it. So I did already do that test. And like I mentioned, since I'm already in my 37th week of pregnancy, I got the results back from that and it came back negative, so I don't have to worry about anything like that for myself. And then for the baby, as it mentioned that the baby's just putting on a lot of fat now, they're not going to be able to do so many twists and turns. I would say for my daughter, I haven't noticed the lack of activity. She's still super active, moving around. My entire belly sometimes will just totally move. So the activity is pretty much the same as it was in the beginning of, well, not the beginning of my pregnancy, but since I started feeling her, the activity still remains the same. So now for the 36 weeks. So it says your baby's growth now is packing on the pounds and at the rate at about 1 ounce a day. That seems like a lot, but okay. She now weighs almost 6 pounds and is more than 18 and a half inches long. Now, as you guys know, this is just This is just basically an app that kind of goes with the general gist of what your baby's weighing and such. It's of course not to your exact specifications, so don't be worried if you go into your doctor's and you happen to have an ultrasound or something and they say that your baby's weighing less or more than that. This is just basically a general guideline that you could read to keep updated with your particular pregnancy. It says that she's shedding most of the downy covering of hair that covered her body, as well as the vernix, the waxy substance that covered and protected her skin during her 9-month amniotic bath. Your baby swallows both of these substances along with other secretions, resulting in a blackish mixture called meconium, which will form contacts in her first bowel movement. So of course if you happen to be in labor and such, and the baby tends to have their first bowel movement, that meconium that they're talking about, that's what could kind of be dangerous if the baby happens to swallow it while they're still in the womb. So you just want to, be careful of that. And that is something, once you go into delivery and stuff, they'll definitely be checking and monitoring to see if any of that does happen to occur. If not, your baby will come out the womb healthy, do their first bowel movement, and you'll be seeing that nice fun black stuff, so I hear. At the end of this week, your baby will be considered early term. So basically, full term, it varies. Some people have told me, once you hit your 37th week, that's full term. Once you're at 35 weeks, others say 39. This particular app says that at week 36, it's considered early term. So like I mentioned, you would have the baby, they would be, totally healthy. They would maybe have to monitor him or she a little bit more. But at 37 weeks, then they of course are considered totally full term and you don't need to worry about anything. So it said at this point your babies should be head down and your practitioner may be scheduling to do your cervix checks. Now this was something I really wanted to have done starting basically at like my 36 week, just because when my mother was pregnant with me, she was 3 centimeters dilated for a month before I was actually born. So I really wanted to get checked down there and find out if I was dilated at all. This way I know if the end is coming near, if I'm gonna have my baby early or whatnot. But unfortunately my doctor's facility, they don't check until week 39. So I have not been fully vaginally checked down there, but last week when I went in for my appointment at the 36th week, I was experiencing extreme discomfort in the pelvic area. So I kind of just mentioned that to one of the doctors and she decided she was going to do kind of just a quick exam to make sure everything was going smoothly. And she did say that the reason that that's happening is my pelvic area is stretching and my daughter has already descended into that area. So the pressure and everything, that uncomfortable, like a really sore type of feeling that I've been experiencing, it is because my daughter is already in position for delivery. So that's great for me. It means I don't have a, my baby's not breached or anything like that. She's in position, she's ready to go. She didn't tell me whether I was dilated or my cervix was thinned out or anything like that. So I'm assuming it was not, otherwise she probably would have mentioned something. But she definitely did say that she is positioned ready and she's very low. So from here on out, unfortunately, if your pelvic area starts to just kind of prep for labor earlier than let's say like the 36th, 37th week or such, you will just unfortunately have to just kind of suck it up, she said, up until delivery day, because that pain's only going to get worse as the baby gets lower and all of those muscles just prepping for the labor and delivery. So yeah, that was everything that's been going on. Basically what it says in the updates, just kind of adding little tidbits of what's been going on with myself. In terms of weight gain, my last doctor's visit was just 2 days ago. Like I mentioned, I'm now already in my 37th week of pregnancy and I'm weighing 152 pounds. I started off my pregnancy at 118, for those of you that kind of want to gauge the weight gain that I've been experiencing. Overall, I feel like my body and everything kind of looks the same. The only reason why, I think, of course, the weight of the baby and everything like that, I have been retaining a lot of water. My hands, I can no longer wear my wedding rings just because they literally don't go on whatsoever. I had such a hard time getting them off. I kind of stopped wearing them a couple of weeks ago because the swelling of the hands was really bad. And then my feet. That is the most uncomfortable part because they of course tell you to walk a lot during pregnancy, but when you have super swollen feet, it makes that extremely difficult, and it sometimes can make it worse for just walking around. So I've just been kind of trying to keep my feet up. I've been getting, like, you know, some foot massages from my husband, my mom, and sister to kind of help with that. But once the baby comes, they said all those fluids and the swollenness and stuff will go away. So it's just kind of the, you know, pains and trials of being pregnant. Now that I mentioned, you know, I'm 37 weeks plus a few days, I'm officially uncomfortable. I want to meet my daughter. I'm really excited to have her here. I've just been trying to get as much sleep as I can because I know when she's here, I've heard it hundreds and hundreds of times from other parents that it's going to be no sleep for a while. So I've just been trying to get as much sleep as I can with my pregnancy pillow, although I am very uncomfortable. So I think I mentioned everything that I needed to. If you guys have any other questions, go ahead and leave it down in the comments section below. Don't forget to thumbs up this video if you enjoyed this update. And as always, subscribe to my channel if you aren't already, as I will be having more updates and a what's in my hospital bag coming on up. Talk to you beauty soon. Bye. Oh, we almost forgot. We almost forgot the bump shot. I tend to always forget that. Pregnancy brain, that's what. So just a quick bump shot. Just kind of lift it up so you guys can see. So that is what my belly currently looks like. Definitely growing bigger and bigger every day. Thank goodness I have no stretch marks as of yet. And that's it all.